All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. For this webinar, I basically have indicated that cameras will be off and everyone's mic is muted, just so hopefully we can walk through this presentation. It's going to be rather informal and fairly brief. I'm going to walk through who we are, our experience, and share some of the challenges we've discovered throughout our experience in working with the fire protection industry, and then really some of the solutions that we offer to solve the problems that we've seen. We'll cover the pricing of our platform real quick and then share our contact information and then really jump into a set of questions. So if you have any questions, please just reach out via chat and we'll grab them at the end. Hopefully we'll have some time for that. But as I get through the walkthrough of the software, if I start to speak too quick, one of my guys on my team will jump in and yell at me. So I apologize in advance. Okay, great. My name is Joey Cutchins. I'm the president of TOPQuote. I am a software architect and a developer. Basically, TOPQuote is a company that serves the fire protection industry. Frank, if you want to do a quick intro.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Frank Manganella. I'm a senior account executive here at TopQuote. I have 11 years of experience in the fire protection industry, being an installer, programmer, technician, inspector. So I've seen both ends of the field. I also hold NICET 2 and NFPA 72 certifications. Like Joey said, please feel free to ask any questions you may have throughout the webinar. We will be monitoring them closely and providing answers as needed. So we look forward to connecting with you all. Thank you for being here.
Okay, great. So to get started, we started a software consulting firm in 2002. Basically, our focus was solving problems with technology. 2014, we met Convergent Technologies. They approached us about building an estimating system for their company. Essentially, we flew around the country, met with various members of their team, and designed and developed a system to fit their business. So in 2 years, we helped them go from 680 million in revenue to 1.2 billion. And essentially, we helped them get through the process of an acquisition. And once the company was sold, the source code was there as it was theirs. And so we ended a relationship. So fast forward a couple of years, and then Summit contacted us and they said, hey, we like what you did for Convergent and we'd like the same thing. So we realized that there's an opportunity in the industry. And so we decided to start TOPQuote. We basically, for the last 3 years, have been supporting, managing, and modifying a platform for Summit Fire Protection and Summit Fire Security, as well as supporting other small, local, and regional fire protection companies. So throughout the experience we've had with Convergent and Summit, essentially, we've seen some scenarios where using a spreadsheet offers tremendous value in putting together estimates for fire protection. Some of the challenges, though, could be around spreadsheet versioning. Some of our customers have expressed the frustration of keeping a sheet current with pricing, especially as a few years ago when the material and part prices were changing very frequently. Also, the ability to see into the activity of estimator or quoting sales rep, being the fact that spreadsheets or desktop applications and you could have them all over the network essentially, if you're fortunate enough to have a network, and having the visibility into the sheets could be a challenge. And that therefore transfers over to tracking sales activity. And so we often hear that's a frustration for leaders and managers, not being able to see what the team's doing. And then furthermore, we've seen that Excel or using spreadsheets basically is separate from the team collaboration aspect of the project. And so what would happen is you'd win a job and, 3 months after you give them the quote, and then, there's a bunch of emails you got to go back and find, or maybe if you're lucky, a shared file storage. And so that was a challenge, as well as review process. I visited an office in Albuquerque about a year ago, and the manager was telling me that he reviews about 40 jobs a week, and that's not even his primary job. And so we thought, what can we do to help that process? And then another complaint was the accidental modifications of a formula or changing of a sheet and somehow affecting the pricing of that sheet. So I'm going to walk through a version of our software and show you how we faced those challenges and as we handled them. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. So TopQuote Professional is a web-based application, and the core of the software is designed around your Excel spreadsheet, and it's designed to give you the ability to see your activity, track what you're doing, track what your team's doing, collaborate on projects, and really take advantage of the functionality that we've built in the platform, but also leveraging your spreadsheets. And so this is the dashboard that I would see as a quoting sales rep. When I first come in, I can see my various activity. I can see historical activity, and then I could see a leaderboard of my office and see, who in the office is doing well. And really what drives all this is what I want to jump right into is an estimate. So I'm going to click on this alarm install. And what you'll see is I have details of the quote, different information about the project. But what really drives it is an Excel spreadsheet. And this is basically a spreadsheet that is embedded in the web browser and Outlook. And the web browser, I'm sorry, Outlook. And you'll see that in this scenario, we've got different tabs for parts and material. And so this is basically an example of how one of our clients uses their spreadsheets to estimate work. And so we can basically build a quote like we normally would using the spreadsheet. And as we do, it'll keep track of the total sale price, the cost, and then calculate the margin and the markup. And so this allows you to keep using a spreadsheet and to take advantage of the functionality and features of the spreadsheet while getting the benefit of having more information about the project, being able to analyze the types of projects and the types of work you're doing, track the margins from your sales team, and then keep up with the stage of a quote. So we have this aspect of a quote where it goes through a life cycle of pending, and that means you're working on the quote, and then you give it to the customer, and we consider that quoted, and then whether you win it, we call it booked, or you lose. And so you can track that activity. And the benefit of that is you use your spreadsheets, however you may design them, and you get, of course, a sales dashboard for a sales rep. But even further, we have other apps in the system that allow you to drill in and see the activity of other members of the team. So you can see what various offices are doing. You can see what estimators are doing. And in this example, an estimator is a person that's creating a quote. You could see a leaderboard across your organization. You could actually see how basically the sales are doing from a trendy perspective. And then further, we have this idea of a hot list. And essentially, a hot list will allow you to predict future work, to be able to plan resources in the future. When do you expect to get a project based on your confidence on the project, as well as basically a due date? And then you can drill into your quoting activity and say, hey, where are we focusing? What vertical markets are we going after? What type of projects do we do? And then, what business segments do we serve? And so this allows you to get a better picture of your business from a high level, all powered by the spreadsheets you most commonly use now. Further, you can drill into customers and see their activity. So right now, Aaron's is a big customer. And of course, everything you see with what I'm doing is test data. Could jump in real quick and let's see what Aaron's actually doing. So you can see that I've got 1.3 in quoted work. I could double click here, see the customer in greater detail, what basically is coming up from revenue potentially from Aaron's, what type of projects do I do with them, what verticals are they in, and basically what business segments do they take advantage of. So this allows me from a high level as a manager or a leader to see, hey, how are we serving our customers, and how are we tracking their activity. So basically I could see the quotes related to this customer. I can see all their contacts and addresses and everything related to the customer. And so we really derive all this information from a spreadsheet. So I walked through that kind of quickly. I want to jump back and slow down and kind of go through the quotes app. And really what I want to cover is right off the bat is like the big picture of what we offer. And to summarize it, I would say we offer tools that integrate with your spreadsheet, basically allow you to utilize your spreadsheet in a web browser, which means from your phone, from your tablet, from any device that accesses a web browser, and then to continue doing business the way you're used to it, but also getting the benefit of our platform. So this is the quotes app. I'm going to go in a bit more detail here. When I log in as a sales rep or an estimator, I see my dashboard. So this is my activity. It's pretty high gross margin right there. I'm sure I'll keep my job. Active Grid basically gives me an opportunity to see what quotes I have. We try to give you tools and make things easy for you to be efficient. So if you need to right click and open this in a new window, you could essentially, you could open this up, you could group your customers so you could see all your data quickly. If someone says, hey, what's on your plate, you can export this to a PDF real quick and email it to someone. We have a grid that tracks follow-up. So in this scenario, maybe, hey, I gave someone a quote a couple weeks ago, which want to see who do I need to reach out with and see what they think. We had the idea of an explorer, which basically gives you a tree view of your activity. So you could drill in to see what's going on. You could see that Aaron's has a bunch of projects, of course, are all tests. And so I could take a look at them in more detail. We have a tool for tracking RFPs. So if you get a bid invitation, we basically establish an email address specific to your company or your office, and then everyone on the team can forward those invites that come in via email. Then every so often, maybe once a week or every couple of days, somebody could come in, they could review what's there. They could say, this is a project that we'd want to bid in. And then they could basically assign this to a team member or reject it. So that way there's not the chance of multiple people working on one RFP at a time. Just a good way to manage that. We also offer the ability to search your quotes and to find stuff you've done more quickly without digging through file systems. And then we provide a calendar which basically shows when quotes are due, when basically materials due on site, when projects start. This could tie into your Outlook, so you could easily, have it in sync with other communications within your office. So that was a quick run through of quotes. I'm going to get started and create a quote. And so what I was going to show you is there's a couple scenarios of how you can get data into the system from your spreadsheet. And so we have two approaches that we offer. One is basically a top sheet technology, which I'll show you now. And then we have another scenario. So if I want to get started with a new quote, I'll choose the subsystem so I can track that. And so I'm going to pick low voltage because this is going to be an alarm quote. So once I pick low voltage, I can choose top sheet. And then because I've set this up in advance, I basically have my spreadsheet in the system as a template. So this means that anyone that creates a quote, they start with a template that we've defined, and then from there, they can work on their estimate. So I'm going to find an existing customer. Let's see who I can pick. Let's see, BOB, Bob's Burgers. All right. So since I've been working with Bob's Burgers for a while, I've got already addresses for job sites as well as contact. And so I'm going to use the same contact information. I could easily click plus and add one. I could add in a new address. And then from really here, I'm building my CRM to track the activity for the particular customer. And so let's just say that this is a new HQ building for Bob's Burgers. I'm going to choose that one as a project. And then right here is where really I start to define the information specific to the quote. So I'm going to say this one is, let's do alarm upgrade on this one. And then this is where I choose the template. And so we have scenarios where customers have a sprinkler template, a suppression template, a fire alarm template, different options for using the top sheet. And so I'm going to use this one, which is basically from January 2nd for fire alarm. Choose the project type, and let's say this is a retro internal ID. If I had my own internal project number, I could use that there. Vertical market really is just a way for me to identify what type of work this is. And then the key driver for hot list, which is in analytics and it's the ability to give you confidence in tracking potential revenue, is right here with confidence. And so if I say this one's 70, 99%, that means it's high probability. And what I can do is kind of somewhat plan for that work to come in the future, which means I would have to have the crew possibly, or can count on the revenue in the future. This one's alarm. And we're going to say that the bid's due next Friday. Project's going to start, let's pick a day in June, and then material on site, let's say in July, just to give me some additional information to track. And from here, basically, I've created my quote and I've selected that particular top sheet or template to be the spreadsheet that I'm going to use for this quote. And I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to grab these guys here. So these are Game FCI, fire alarm control panel right here. It's $767. I'm going to make a note of that, and I'm going to just pick 10 of them, which is probably not a realistic scenario, but I think you get the idea. What happens is the sheet functions like normal. And so all we've done is essentially developed a process that communicates with the sheet as it's embedded in the web browser. And so when I close this, what will happen is the TSP will come up. Basically, this quote is pending, so my manager can see that, hey, I am working on this quote. If I eventually win this quote, then I could say, okay, once I give it to the customer, I could book it, and then I could, say I won it, and then this is all communicated automatically through the system. Another area that I might want to take advantage of is project files. So let's say right now I want to upload some files and add something specific to this project. I can come in here and let's see if I can find a file real quick. See, let's do this one. So I'm going to upload this Excel spreadsheet. Basically, what will happen is it'll attach it, and now it's in a folder. So anyone that has access to this quote can download it. Right now, we have the idea of a team. And so you can have several people working on a team. You can also share this quote. So let's say there's a scenario where it's a big customer or it's an important customer, more important than maybe the average customer, and you want to have 2 or 3 people on this. So what you could do is you could share it with them. So that way when they log in, they see the quote too. You could track notes for the quote. You can keep track of activity related to the aspects of the quote. You can add files associated with it, basically any sort of quotes you get from subcontractors. There's a review process, so you can request a review, and what will happen is you hit this button, pick a member of your staff. Let's see, I think James is in here. James is going to get bugged. Pick a member of your staff, hit request review. What will happen is they'll get an email, and they'll get a link where they can click on it and give review feedback, and that'll all come back to you via email as well. You could track the history of this so you could see what kind of activities. If there's been any cell changes in the quote, we track that. So you can actually see who changed what values. And I can always jump back in and see the quote. So this gives me the ability to kind of modify the quote, manage the quote, but then even further, I could share information or chat with my team. So I'm going to pick on James again. Let's pick James is there. I'll say CAD files. Just some communications here. So I'll send this to James. He'll get notified that it's there. He can easily upload files. And so this really lets all the communications stay within the quote, which could be valuable in your business processes. So one thing I want to talk about is one of the pain points we see is that there's a common occurrence where the material pricing changes. And so in this example, we created a quote and we picked this guy. And I just basically marked it up like 900%. So I basically made it so it's 10 times the original price. And this is a new sheet now. And so what we need to do is we need to upgrade this quote to the new sheet. And so this is a big problem. So what happens is a lot of companies, they'll have material or part prices change in their sheet, and they've got quotes in progress, and it's just a pain to upgrade them. So what we've done is we created a process for migrating the quote essentially. So I've already uploaded this new sheet, and so if you click migrate, what will happen is you'll see my 4-1 alarm sheet I uploaded early this morning here, and I'll click migrate quote. I'll say yes. And what will happen is the system will automatically load that new sheet in with the new price. And now all of a sudden you get the new values. So your estimator didn't have to do any tweaking with the sheet or anything. It just basically knows what you've previously entered, and it automatically updates the sheet. So that's a burden taken away from your, management opportunities or your administrative work there. Another approach, and I'll run through this one quickly, is the ability to create a quote from an import. So the spreadsheet works great when you've got a common job, right? So this is a spreadsheet that we were provided. This is a project for a sprinkler job. And so you could see the prices here. There's some core metrics here. And so what I want to do is I want to pull this in to a new quote. And so this is a sheet that I've created because the template just wasn't sufficient for this job. Maybe there's multiple phases, or there's a bunch of subsystems that are in this particular quote. So if I hit new quote, and let's just say sprinkler for this one, and I do an import, then basically I'm going to run through, and let's say this is Bob's again, just because I like them. And we'll do the same context, which is probably not a realistic situation, but getting to the part where we import the quote is important. So let's just say this was a sprinkler install. And we'll say new constructions, commercial. Let's give it a future date. We'll go just real close just to get this in. And so now what we can do is we can browse and import that spreadsheet. So if I hit here, there's the spreadsheet. And so since we've basically seen this type of spreadsheet before, we can define templates of what data to pull in. And so what will happen is it'll read this sheet and grab the data from the cells. And basically I can build this template one at a time for this sheet. It just takes a few seconds. And so identify the sheet name, the cell, which value I want to pull in. And what happens when I hit next, it'll create a quote grabbing this data, and basically now I've got a quote in TOPQuote. Essentially, I can download this sheet anytime, or I can upload any sort of adjustments. So that's a quick run through of TOPQuote Professional, some of the functionality and features. I'll jump back to the slideshow and get on with it, and then we can go to questions if you guys have any. So again, we have essentially solutions that serve the fire protection community. TOPQuote Professional is a web-based software specifically targeting alarm security, AV, suppression, and sprinkler. Basically, we have the ability to standardize estimating, support team collaboration, track sales activity, give you business insight, and we can integrate with systems like Salesforce, just about any other platform there is, we can integrate with it. We also have an inspection tool, which is basically a suite of mobile and web app. The web app offers an administrative tool for managing inspection and scheduling inspection, and then we have a mobile app for actually performing the inspection. For pricing, pretty straightforward. We have a SaaS version of TOPQuote Professional, which basically means you sign up, you get to use our standard feature set, $65 a user. Setup is $750, and training, basically we would provide training ongoing for any member of your team. We are your support when it comes to using the software, kind of would help out possibly with new hires. And further, what we do with a lot of companies is that we have a blueprint version. And being a solution provider, I definitely don't want to tell you how to run your business. And so we take Blueprint, which is essentially our latest code base. We segment it for you. We brand it. We do this often for our customers where it's their name. You set up a URL for their company. We put their logos on it, and then we customize it based on their particular needs. So we've done that like for Convergent and Summit and Ironsmith and a few other companies. And so our goal there is really just to solve your problems specifically to your needs. All right. And then if you'd like to see a personal demo, I can definitely move a lot slower and discuss things that are specific to your needs. Or if you just like to get on a call and talk about stuff, we could definitely offer and share our experiences. You could sign up on our website or jump in a live chat and ask them questions. My name is Joey Cutchins. Again, you could see us at top-quote.com. That's our website. My email address is here and Frank's is here, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.